Boston to Melbourne, 30 teams, 30 thoughts. Brought to you by Maxim and Ian.
Hello, and welcome back to the second episode of 30 Teams, 30 Thoughts, the podcast, the only no-show hockey league insider podcast. Once again, I'm your host, Ian, GM of the Boston Bucayos, and across the desk at a now calculated 1,700 miles, Maxim Reese, the GM of the Alberta Aliens. How's it going today, Maxim?
Chip chap cheerio. I just watched England win. What a game that was.
It
That has
was a
nothing to
great
do with the
game.
no-show league, but wow.
Now, you may be wondering, where is this mystery guest? And I'm going to be honest, we are recording on the 5th of July, day after the 4th of July, which is a great holiday. I hope all the Americans in here got off fireworks and had a hell of a day.
We'll get to that, buddy.
Well, it's the day of the week. Nothing crazy between America happened and Canada happened. That actually matters. It's all fake.
For our intents and purposes, nothing important happened within the last 4 days out of these 5.
Yeah, so we're doing this episode today because we want to get a lot of this stuff out there, and we want to give the special guest his own time, and I don't want to be talking over him about things that are happening around the league. Should we review who the special guest is?
It's going to be in this episode anyways, so.
It's going to be in the episode anyways, but it's probably going to be like a good 30 minutes away. We're hopefully going to get an hour out of this. So should we reveal it or not?
Let's surprise him. It's a big name.
It's a pretty big name. He's been very active. But obviously, now we're going to talk about the deals that were made today. Maxim, do you care kicking us off about some of the deals that were made today and your opinions on them?
Well, I saw Dominic Barone, the general manager of the Hartford Wolfpack. I don't remember the exact deal. I know there was Samuelson in a first. Those were the main parts of it. The first was flipped for Mackenzie Weegar, going for Zach Werenski.
Yeah, very clearly.
Between Hartford and Buffalo.
Yeah, it was Hartford, Buffalo, or the initial deal was Hartford and Seattle, and I caught wind of this deal getting its legs started, and then the deal was kind of sent off in 40 minutes, and that kind of matches the MO with Seattle. They've been looking to buy, and I guess for Hartford, they're looking to recreate Zach Werenski in the aggregate, and I think them pivoting to Weegar right after using one of the picks to get Weegar matches up with what we said that Hartford checked in on Weegar on the last show with BFG, as well as a few other things. And I think it's very clear that Hartford's going to go out there. They're going to try to recreate in the aggregate. He said he was going to take the Brooklyn approach. And just a quick little note on Brooklyn. This is more speculatory. I'm under the assumption, I've been told that he is very happy with his 2028 pick haul. He's very enticing for it. So I don't know why, but I do think maybe the 2028 draft, he kind of pivots, sells, maybe gets more assets, replenishes, maybe he retools. So obviously we'll have to see in 2028 if Brooklyn's still around what happens, but that's something to look out for.
Still
the
around.
2028 draft.
If he's still around, he'll still be around.
You never know.
Nicholas Jans,
the
Jans.
Yeah, okay, but back to the show. I mean, he's just a few more things I've heard about Brooklyn. He has a lot of picks. He has 8 picks guaranteed to be in the top 100 in 2028. So I'm kind of in the assumption that I think he views this as somewhat of a pivot year. If you should, sell, if you should buy using these picks, maybe it gets active this year's trade deadline. I don't really know, but he did a really good job managing his assets and trading back from, I believe, pick 25 to gain so much more 2028 capital. So we'll see where that goes.
And stockpiling capital in future years is something personally as a manager I love, because at some point that year is going to come and people are going to want those picks. And if he waits, he's going to be well rewarded for that.
Yeah. And just a few other notes we have about Brooklyn. He's looking for a little bit of a hockey trade. He's selling off a few of the expendables. He dumped a few off in a trade with, I believe, Hartford earlier in the week during the draft, I think, to gain some 2028 again. And actually, Roslovic's name is out there. Quite a bit of teams. He's offered to quite a multitude of teams for a multitude of pieces and picks and maybe something in the middle. He's entertaining a sell high. This is some undercover stuff. I couldn't really find a name, and maybe you can look at his roster and figure out what the name is. But he's entertaining on a player that he shopped before and is trying to probe a team about the player. But he would be willing to keep the asset. He's not in the market to sell the player. He did get a good deal initially on him. That's what I heard.
Ooh, this is interesting.
So that's about all I know. And now to talk about his
He also
deal,
made a deal today. Yeah. Oh,
he
you're
also
going there.
did. Yeah, we were just about to segue to it. If you want to take over, you can. But it was with
No, it's all yours.
it was with the Chugwater Thunderbirds. I'm told he came to Chugwater, who we said was on Zero Dark 30, and you would have to bring something to him for him to make a move, and that matches up with the MO that we put out there. So good on us. He went to Chugwater asking about a different player. It wasn't anything too crazy, I don't think. But then the talks kind of ramped up, and then Chugwater decided, hey, I'm going to pull a trigger. Let's go. And I believe Chug organizationally has some good goalie prospects, although it must suck to part ways with Ravensburger. But I mean, you have to give, you got to get, or to get, you got to give. And so I think this is a good example of this. I think both teams can kind of walk away patting their hands. Do you have any other takes on that? And do you mind segueing us into any other direction?
Well, I think both teams did pretty well there. I think they both accomplished something they want to do. Um, yeah, that's pretty much all I got for you there. I am
Yeah.
thinking of this player that he's talking about possibly selling high on. A name that does stick out to me on this roster has to be Jared McCann. I don't know. His name is thrown around in the actual NHL, and I
Yeah.
don't. Nick
Yeah.
kind of keeps things under like we can go look at his trade block too. He posts it every day, but
For sure. For sure. And
Barrett Hayton stands out as well.
very well. Maybe he keeps on to him for the new opportunity. I know some GMs don't really let the NHL affect what they do in the no show, and I know other GMs do.
That is
And I know
true.
that one GM that definitely does do that is the Stockholm Skull GM Cordell Reynolds. Um, a few things on him is prospect. What's his first name? It's like Jay Kimmel. Um, Jesse
Joaquin
Kimmel.
Kemmel.
Kimmel's name.
Joaquin Kemmel.
Joaquin Kimmel. His name is very much out there. It's been thrown around. I'm told, and I can confirm that there were negotiations with the team that would have been picks for prospects. Now, I'm not going to put the team out there, but if you listen to our last episode, there's a pretty big hint as to who that team is. He's looking to add a D-man in the market. Um, I'm told he's been dangling Anton Salev, who's the 10th overall pick in the 2023-2024
Four
draft. One of
drafts,
those 2
24.
years.
Yep.
Yeah. It's in the package of a first-round pick plus for that defenseman. And then more, and this is another draft story, and I know the draft is kind of passed, and there wasn't anything too crazy that I know of that happened there, but I am told that more than one GM has called in on a Ryan Rubrick and a Jackson Cover we mentioned earlier, to try to
Well, I
flip
can
him.
tell you right now, I know who one of those GMs is. I'm looking at Ethan Scouten from the Regina Railers here. For a fact, Ryan Rubrock is one of his guys. He wanted him, couldn't get his hands on him. And I was told personally by the manager over there in Regina that during the season, he will be making a pitch to get Rubrock if he hasn't already. We'll
And
see.
since we're in the midst of blowing up spots, I can confirm a GM that called on Cover was the Denver Dumpster Fires. I don't want to say Direwolves. Direwolves did not call on him from what I know. But the Denver Direwolf or Dumpster Fire did make an offer to Cover and it was the package we alluded to that was the same as what Cordell gave up to get him. So I think Cordell values his guys, and we'll have to see where that goes. But I think a league-wide expectation was that it was going to stay relatively calm after the draft. I was told to expect a lot of deals to get moving around a day or two after the draft, and then the waiver wire would open, and there would be some hot commodity. That kind of didn't happen. We're still waiting on the waiver wire, and I have a few good nuggets here on the waiver wire. I'm told San Jose, who actually, Maxim, if you want to talk about the deal that got done and we're going to take full credit for this, because of the podcast between San Jose and BFG. Do you mind talking about that?
Oh,
For
the Luke
Luke
Hughes
Hughes?
deal that we broke a couple days ago. I think I'm just looking at this here. Carter Bear, Morgan Barron, some draft capital, McKenzie, and claim budget be a part of this deal to send Luke Hughes to Buffalo. What I did find very interesting in this is, especially now that we're talking about the waiver wire, the fact that claim budget was a part of this deal. I don't remember if I said this on the last podcast or not, but I do find that very interesting, especially because it looks like we are going to have a waiver wire worth looking at this year. We'll see how that progresses as the
Yeah.
offseason moves along. But especially without this, I think this is the first year that prospect slots will not increase in the league. Teams are going to have to move on from guys. And especially with prospects graduating too,
And
people are going to
and
hit market.
I've heard a very loosey juicy story about this. I'm told Utah, who he's been asking around for claim budget here. He wants to make a pretty big claim. He's zeroed in on, I think, one player and two prospects. Those names are unknown, but I'm told one of them is on the waiver wire right now. You can throw around some names, maybe a Maxim Tsiplikov, who I know San Jose is interested in. Maybe a TJ Hughes. I know he's a little bit older, but he had a good college season. Might be able to slot in on the Avs third or fourth line as soon as here. I'm told it's a player from one GM who's not going to be able to keep the prospect, or it's a prospect from one GM who's not going to be able to keep the prospect. Won't have enough prospect space. And so he's kind of been collecting to put forth a huge offer. Now, we don't know who, but maybe you look around at some prospect wedges and maybe the answer unveils itself. Just more about draft talk as more things get uncovered and more potential deals get nixed. I am told that the Bamberg Badger Hounds, who I did not mention correctly, and actually let me backtrack back to Utah. I put out a report that he was interested in Uyghur. He is not, and I sincerely apologize for that. Now back to Bamberg. I'm told he was willing to dangle Dalibor Dvorsky, who is on his block along with Seth Jarvis and Artyom Lashunov. He was willing to dangle Dvorsky to get a pick in the top 5 to 12 range in the draft that happened a week ago, to quote Bobby Shmurda. But the talks didn't go too far, and he ended up getting the 8th overall pick in a more pick-for-pick transaction. Maxim, do you have any more nuggets that you might want to disclose before we get into a lot more of that speculatory stuff?
Let's get into it. I don't really have much for you there.
Okay, just a few notes around teams around the league before I get into like the really good stuff. Hartford continues to check in on a multitude of forwards, and I don't really know how this is going to change because of the Uyghur and Werenski swaps, but he does have a little bit more capital. I think he has an extra second-round pick that he views highly in his organization. He's been linked to Dorofeev and Raquel, among others. I'm not really sure if there were any serious offers or traction made there. It was reported that Werenski's name is out there, and like I said, the deal happened within 40 minutes of Seattle and Hartford talking. He was asking GMs to make their best offer, kind of left it at a sandbox. His asking price was high, so there was a little bit of organizational shock from other GMs when Werenski seemingly went for that little. Maxim, what do you think Werenski would have went for had you had control of him? What would have been your asking price?
Well, to tell you the truth, to put this in the context of my team, if I had a Zach Werenski, I'm keeping a Zach Werenski. I wouldn't move him at all. But to move him, I would have to get something a lot better than what I saw Dom get here. And I'm going to be honest with you. Over the last, I want to say, 7 months, since about January, I've been in calls for Werenski myself. And I was never very interested in this player. I don't love Zach Werenski as a player. He's not a guy I really wanted to get my hands on and bring onto my roster. But I can tell you there was a time where I was told to make whatever my best offer was on Werenski, so I did it, right? And this offer.
Do you know how many teams would you say? Did you ever get a number on how many teams called in on Werenski? Because I assume this was a bidding war just based off how many GMs have told me a story about. Oh, well, Hartford asked for this, and then I thought this was insane, but then Hartford tried to say this, and then so on and so forth. I've heard so many stories.
I have no idea, but I can tell you, I know there's probably at least a third of the league is in on Werenski or was in on Werenski. But I can tell you, this GM, Dom, very hard to deal with on Werenski. This is a general manager here that took my offer that I could have told him was low because I told him at the time I didn't want Werenski, but he told me to make an offer anyways. He then took that offer to some of the bigger names in the league, asked what they thought about the offer, and when they were. Yeah, obviously it got shot down. I could have told him to shoot it down himself. It wasn't a very good offer, and I'll admit that because I don't want Zach Werenski. But there was a time where Dom tried to make me sound like I was some bit insane for lowballing him on Zach on a player I didn't want. Anyways, that's all my little spiel on Zach Werenski.
I have two.
It is disappointing to go through that and then see him go for as little as he did because as much as I didn't want that player on my team, I could have beaten what Dom got today in that deal. But that's just me. I'm sure many other teams could say the same.
Yeah. Just two little notes, and this might be a deterrent, and I don't want this to be, but it could because I don't think other GMs want other GMs to win, and I don't think you want to be the GM that trades with other people to win. This is just about Regina and Pocatello. I'm told Pocatello. I'm going to go with Pocatello because I have a little bit less in depth on what he is. He's been somewhat active in the late round trade market, a little bit around 2027. Obviously, I don't know how many sellable pieces he has, how many pieces are out there, but he continues to build towards the 2027 draft. I think that's his MO. He's going to use that as a building board. I think he has control of his picks for his sake. After watching his first get traded for Aiden Hill, that was outside of his control. For his, he has his first. And this is the more in-depth one. I'm told Regina views the 2027 draft as a franchise changer. He's shopping NHLers like Killorn. I know there have been a few late round offers for Killorn. The plan's to stick with Killorn until the deadline. Hopefully he rebounds. There might be a center issue in Anaheim. He may offload prospects for picks. The goal is to get DuPont and Privilov. That's on his poster board when he goes to sleep. Now, he only has 2 firsts, and I believe Alberta is going to be a great team this year. So that's going to be a little bit of a late first. So he has his own first, which is probably going to be in the top 6. Yeah, no problem. Which is probably going to be in the top 6. Alberta, which was probably going to be in the late 20s. So obviously, he's gonna press very hard to get first. So if you're a GM and you see him luring you in like the evil person from Hansel and Gretel, you need to sit down and think about what you're getting, because you need don't. I know I'm not going to tell you what to do, but you need to sit down and think about what the actual offer is. Do not get swindled. Okay, do not get swindled.
And
Okay,
just to circle back a little bit here on Pocatello, I believe he deserves a little bit of a shout out here. After the hand that he was dealt taking over this club, especially watching a pick that he didn't trade go for first overall and eventually select Gavin McKenna to the Direwolves, he does have, I believe it's 6 picks in the top 60 next year, 2 firsts,
that's how you
including
rebound.
his own. So definitely.
For sure.
And then going forward, even in 2028, I do see he's got 3 firsts there. So he's doing well. He's rebounded well.
Yep. Just a quick little note about Seattle. I know we've mentioned them vaguely. And this also links over to New York, the New York Phoenix, so I have a little bit of a speculatory ramble to go on about. He's buying. Like, that's very clear out there. The Zach Werenski trade should be proof. He traded his 2028 pick. He's buying. He wants to buy. I don't know what his asset management is like. I'm not entirely sure of that. Maxim, if you could get that to me by the end of this little qualm rant, I'd appreciate that if you're able to have access
working
to it.
on it.
I don't know what his asset is like. He has a good prospect, and I'm told of negotiations between Seattle and New York that would have sent Hellebuck to Seattle. Now, about Hellebuck in New York is what I know. His ask for him is incredibly high. I know his offer, his ask, was something around Jet Greaves and Sam O'Reilly, and I think Sam O'Reilly is one of Seattle's better prospects, and Jet Greaves, I think, is right there in terms of fantasy points per game, although it was a down year for Hellebuck and a great year for Greaves. So I don't know. There's definitely a high price, but I know his name because I've heard of a multitude of GMs that have checked in on him, and I do wonder, he's a little bit asset strapped. Hellebuck doesn't really fit this Johnson Raymond Leonard window that he has going for him. I do wonder what that trade would look like, because I know with this Sam O'Reilly and Jet Greaves trade, maybe there was like a pick involved there. I know there's definitely an emphasis on getting some futures back into his lineup. And I think he gave up Olmark in a first to Utah. So I do wonder what direction he's going to go to trade Hellebuck if his name is out there. Now, obviously the ask is high, but shifts down with the market. So I would put an offer in there for Hellebuck. If you're a GM that wants Hellebuck, maybe he goes to a better team, maybe he doesn't. I'd put an offer in there. He's not really shopping him around. It's kind of, you have to come to the store in order to get him. But his name is out there and he's not untouchable.
And I will
that's
say,
all I have.
As somebody that's learned this the hard way in this league, goalies are very important. And if there's any goalie that's capable of going out and posting a 15-point game for you at any given moment, it's going to be Connor Hellebuck. As someone that hasn't managed goalies all that well myself, I would say maybe going out and buying a guy like that, a big name. I'm not going to do it myself because I've got my names now, but maybe going out and buying a name like that is something that can definitely improve your team.
Yeah, I can now report that Alberta is apparently disinterested in Hellebuck. That's coming from a very close source of the team.
Really? Who told you that?
A source did. Yes. Okay, so just a few more trade talks before we start to segue into our guests. But in between that, I think we have a really fruitful dialogue about a certain team. I'm told BFG is poking around with Melbourne on Sherwood. He wants the 2028 first, and he's confident he'll get it. He's wanted Joachim Kemmel from Stockholm. He's told me that a second is the price in the talks. Uyghur talks, this was reported earlier because the notes aren't updated. I probably should have, but I was told the Uyghur talks were getting a tad more serious. namely with Hartford. And obviously today Weir gets Hartford, so I can predict it. Obviously his block is still Granlund, Sherwood, and I still hold on to the fact that McKinnon deal will get done fairly soon. Now, just a quick little tidbit around Melbourne. I can confirm. I can confirm that he's actively shopping his 2028 first. That is public knowledge. That is out there. GMs are apparently sniffing around that pick very heavily. Not every once in a while can you add a 2020 guys actively shopping for it. It's usually something you have to bring up to sell, in my experience as an assistant GM. I can confirm that Boston, Buffalo, and Brooklyn, the three Bs, have all called him, and all we need is Bamberg. And maybe Bamberg sniffing around there. He's fielding offers, and the only thing that I can confirm is that he's more than likely down to bound, or he's going to move that pick. And now I also can confirm Ryan Hartman was in a deal. A little short-sighted by me. Tried to see if I could maybe get some really plus value for Hartman. Just see if I get a first. Hartman's name is not necessarily out there, but that's just a stance on Melbourne. So if you want to pick and you think you might have something, put together an offer, send it to Australia. By the way, Boston and Australia, or Boston and Melbourne, the furthest distance geographically between two teams. That's why we're worldwide around here, Maxim, if you can believe
Is
that.
it really?
Yeah, I looked it up. Yeah, Boston.
Yeah, my guess would have been Bamberg.
Yeah. Well, where's Bamberg?
Germany.
Yeah. Well, no, Germany's just no, because Germany's just across the Atlantic. You have to go across the entirety of the United States and the Pacific to get to Melbourne, or you have to go across.
You got to
go
across all of Asia.
Yeah, or you can do it either way. So now,
look at you getting the maps out. First, we got the distance between Texas and Alberta.
Arkansas and Alberta, actually.
Arkansas. Okay, close enough. You move.
Okay, now. We're gonna get into a very messy. I'm not gonna say messy, but a very hard to pin down GM. That's the Pompey's Pit. Now, obviously, if was it out there in the last recording? I don't know if it's in the notes here. Was it out there in the last recording that he had a deal in place for Makar, that if the team took a nosedive, he'd sell him. I don't know.
I can't remember, but I do know this has been pretty public.
I believe it was in the notes. Now, I'm not saying he is wrong, but we're gonna get to the Makar. We're gonna shelf it for 30 seconds because I want to get through what I know. He's looking to add a first. He's engaged with the New York Phoenix. Talks were preliminary first around that first round pick. He talked about Sweden. He talked with Sweden about flipping a veteran player to get his picks back. One of them was the first. The talks didn't really go far. He's checked in with about at least 8 GMs. 2 to 3 talks progressed past a stage of, how far would this get me in a deal? I know that. And now this is the more interesting stuff. So I put it out there in the notes that he had a deal in place for Cale Makar. Now, I was told that some of that was over-exaggerated. Maxim, did you hear anything about this that you can add on? Or
I don't think I've heard anything more than you have, I'll be honest.
Okay.
I've kind of been following you on this one.
I know one of the teams that was... Is it bot recording? Oh, it is. Sorry. Okay, yeah, the timer messed up. My apologies. I know one of the teams that was involved in this saga was the Mykonos Mythos, if I said that name correctly. I know he was a team that was apparently in the mix for Makar, and maybe that was the team that he was alluding to when he said he had the deal confirmed. But I had a source backtrack that up to Mykonos, and he said that was not true. So I don't know if he's throwing some elaborate smokescreen or the situation has changed, but the Makar situation isn't as clear and as out there as he'd want to be, which kind of matches up with the knee-jerk MO that we put out in the last episode. I can confirm that Chandler Stevenson will be off his team by the start of the season. And that's about really all we have on Pompey. So it's a little bit of a mess. It's hard to read, and it's hard to run with any of this as true.
I do have to say, if I was acquiring Cale Makar, which I'm not, again, close source, you can take Alberta out of that mix. But if I was acquiring Makar, I don't believe that I would be sitting around waiting for a deal that may or may not be done based on how a team may or may not perform at the start of a season. If I'm giving up the assets to get that guy, I want that guy. So I don't know that I really believe that there's a deal in place for it. And to be honest, if I do, I think whoever the GM is on the other side of that man, you got to push that issue and you got to get him moving them. Because I know for a fact, if you're getting McCarr, you're giving up something good. Don't let him play with you. Get that deal done.
Yeah,
It's not
that's
worth it.
I mean that's like a like that is a obviously it depends on the I wonder what his ask would be. Like I'm genuinely curious because if
It's
he
got to be
goes to
high.
I believe Sweden, Stockholm has I know one of his firsts. And if you remember correctly, and Cordell cannot complain about us now because we're going to talk about it. If you remember correctly, a lot of people, and I'm going to, I was the GM behind this deal. A lot of people were shocked by how mild the return for Austin Matthews was. But my defense was I got my pick back in 2028. And there's very clearly an incentive for control over your picks. I remember, what deal did Nate get, or Pompey, sorry. What deal did he pull off because the guy wanted his picks back? Pompey was able to achieve it, and then Pompey traded the
Alexander
assets.
Barkov.
Yeah, Barkov deal. So there's very clearly an emphasis to get your picks back and hold on to your picks. Now, first round picks are very fluid in this league. For some GMs, they're not fluid for others. So obviously, when you have to pay the piper, you have to pay the piper. And we're going to see, I would expect to see some teams obviously do their offseason duties and try to call in to get their picks back. And I would expect most GMs to hold steadfast because you don't really want to give up control. You want it under your thumb. And I think that wraps up the rumor report. So we are going to segue this. Obviously, how many days from now? We're doing this on Tuesday.
Whoa! I think we do have something we have to talk about first.
What? What are you talking about, Big Dog?
There is a little something that went down on the evening and into the early morning of July 1st and the 2nd. And over in our other server, we have the Grimace Fan Club Classic between the best members in the EASHL club between the USA and Canada. And I just have to say the lineup for Canada: centerman David Sweet, right winger Nate Glucksman of Pompey, left winger myself, defense of Riley and Cordell reigns supreme, victorious 3-0, a clean sweep in this classic. Where on the other side, I don't know if you want to go through the lineup or not of the silver medalists, but thought my boys need a little bit of a shout out there.
Yeah, that's gonna get cut. So
Oh, Canada, baby, that's not getting cut. I know you're leaving it.
No. I'll make decisions. I'm just gonna put it out there. I was proud of the way the guys fought. I was the captain for America. Hang your head with pride.
You guys were valiant. I'll give you that.
Obviously, I have respect for 4 of the players that were on the team, including myself.
4 of the players. Can you name the 5th that you didn't have much respect for?
It was Anthony Barone, who's the twin brother of Hartford.
The evil twin.
It got to the point where I was kind of wishing Hartford had eaten Anthony in the womb since they're twins. So it was that bad. But obviously we're very proud to be American. We played them on Canada Day. They were too scared to play us on the 4th of July. But
that's just the way it worked out.
Yeah, with that we're gonna end. No, there's a few friendly games that were thrown in there, so count the friendlies.
Oh, friendlies?
I think y'all are like 6 and 1.
We're counting friendlies now.
Y'all are 1, including friendlies, and but we're I
Reynolds,
think
golden goal, by the way. Overtime winner. Cordell Reynolds wins it.
Yeah. It was Ant's fault. So, obviously, we're gonna. Do you have any other things you want to put out there that's gonna get cut?
Oh yeah, I do got one more actually. After our last episode, the debut, I got a little DM from the general manager of the Stockholm Skull telling us that we really dropped the ball because we did not discuss the
we did mention
deals.
Okay.
Joel Eriksson Ek deals from a couple months before our podcast debut.
And it's the Austin Matthews deal. What was the Eriksson Ek deal?
Eriksson Ek, I don't remember the trade at all, to be honest with you, but he went from Bamberg to the Skull. And I guess this was a fair criticism by Cordell. Dude, where's McCarr?
But I mean, it was. They
were also months before the show. I just felt like I should mention this.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, hopefully, we're gonna say hopefully, we're gonna interview a few GMs after this one. I know we have a few guests lined up. We won't really spoil the big plan.
Well, we're bringing you guys some real good content here.
We're very excited for a few of the guests that we have. I think we have obviously the one you're about to meet, who we're very excited to talk to about his. I'm not even going to say it because it might spoil
the debut guest, by the way. The debut guest that we're ever going to have on the show.
Yes, so we're gonna nix this at about 36 and a half minutes, and we're gonna welcome on our guest. Should I introduce him now and then cut the episode and then enter it back, or because I want to make sure I put it out there.
We should like get some theme music, like "There Goes My Hero" by the Foo Fighters, and then bring him on. No, we'll get copyrighted.
No,
Let's introduce him when he comes on.
Here, I want to look it up on YouTube. Yeah, we kind of have to nix this, but ooh, yeah. There Goes My Hero. That'd be a great one. Obviously, we'll repost the puzzle. The episode will be out on Tuesday. Thank you for listening to the Rumor Report. We're very excited to welcome on our guest, who you will meet in the next segment. That'll do it for Monday's recording. Maybe this is the only recording, scheduling and whatnot. We're going to put that out there. So if it is the only recording, thank you for listening. Very appreciative. Love doing this. And that's going to do it. Max, do you have any final regards?
Thank you. Live long and prosper until we see you in about 3 seconds with our guest.
Boston to Melbourne.
I'm going to let
30
play
teams,
YouTube.
30
All right,
thoughts.
that'll do it.
Brought to you by Maxim and Ian.
Okay, hello and welcome back. Now, there was the big gap that we talked about in the earlier segment, but I'm fairly certain nothing of insane importance happened in the league. So without further ado, after I think about a week of meandering, probing, throwing some really dumb riddles that make no sense, and alluding to his arrival, we are now very excited and fortunate to welcome our first guest, BFG. Some know him as BFG. Other people know him as Isaac. Other people know him as the other way to see BFG, that being Big Flames guy. But for now, we know him as the inaugural guest on 30 Teams, 30 Thoughts of the podcast. Isaac, how you doing today, man?
Doing good. How are you guys?
Great. And before we go any further, I'd like to formally, over a call, apologize for the Uyghur report to Utah. It's on me. Yeah. So, Maxim, do you have something to ask, or should I start with
You
the
go
interview
for
part?
it. I think we both got our lines we're going to head to at some point.
All right. Let's jump right in. You're the manager of the Buffalo Flaming Gorillas. What would you describe as a successful 26-27 campaign in your opinion? I know the expectation out there that you'll finish in the bottom half, but you do have 5 first-round picks across the next 2 years. So is the plan to take a step back completely, or is it going to be more of like a soft retool and ramp up?
It's definitely more of a soft retool, right? I wasn't in like the mindset to go full blow it up because with the roster I had, it was almost impossible to only acquire futures, right? No one would really only package just purely prospects and picks. And plus, we want to kind of stay competitive. That's what the goal of the deals were with the players we got back. We did get a lot younger. The goal is to still get playoff hockey. How far we go is just a bonus.
So you're in it for the revenue, like a greedy owner. I hear you. And I respect that.
Exactly.
Just like
I need the
Murray
bread.
Edwards.
I don't know. I'm going to say like 2008 Tom Gagliardi as well. Now, we can't talk about your transactions, and we can't talk about this being a rumor-based show, and we can't talk about you in general without mentioning Mr. Miss the Wide Open Net, Mr. McPussy, Mac Pussy, Mr. Mac
Okay.
Pussy,
Chill out, buddy. One
Mac
gold in 46
Loser,
years. Think
Mac
you own the world.
Bum. There's just so many ways. Mac Cunt. So how close would you say a deal is on Avalanche center iceman Nathan McKinnon? And we're going to add on to this. Are there any other teams outside of Utah and Newcastle who we've reported that are like right in there? You don't have to say the team, but if you want to, you can. It'd make for more interesting drama. Actually, no. If you don't want to, it'd make for more interesting drama. So is there a team right next to Utah and Newcastle? And how close are you to making a McKinnon deal?
So far, those two are the front runners. There have been 2 to 3 other teams who have inquired, set like a foundational offer, see how it goes from there. But I'm looking at the offers right now. I don't mind dragging this out until September, October. The
Dallas
offers
Stars,
aren't bad.
Providence,
It's
I'll mess
just,
with it.
yeah, basically. It's
Yeah,
it's just
you
not
take you gotta
exactly
take
what I'm
you
looking
gotta
for,
take yeah. So I
and
mean,
it
how
doesn't
many points
hurt,
did he have
right?
last season? What was his point per game last season?
Like it was around 10, I believe.
He
Yeah.
is projected 10.56 for next year.
And I mean, if
Yeah.
they counted the Olympics and he was able to shoot into an open net, he'd have
Okay.
even more. So
We're really doing this. It's gonna be like that.
yeah. Maxim, do you have any questions
I got my bit
to
about the classic.
springboard?
That's fair enough.
Yeah, do you have any questions to springboard over to BFG so we can 50-50 share this interview like a
Off
child
of
in
that
custody?
one,
I mean, if not, I can continue on, but because I
yeah,
know
you
there
go
are
for it.
also
I'll jump in
there are
here
a
at
few
some
more
point.
pieces. So just this is more like a more like out there. Actually, I don't know out there, but this is more like a direct question. So I mean, you have a lot of pieces, and you still have pieces, and like I said, you have 5 first-round picks over the next 2 drafts. Why are you trying to sell off a Nathan McKinnon instead of trying to use some of these picks to bolster your roster? Do you think it's like the correct decision? Have you thought about this decision? Are you 50-50, 60-40, any other of those percentages? And I have a few comments about Sherwood. Would you like to put anything out there? Because I have you linked to a few teams, and I know what your asking price is, but how tied are you to a Kiefer Sherwood price?
Kiefer Sherwood, I mean, I'll start with Sherwood first.
Yep.
He's probably going to be the greatest waiver wire pickup in league history. Like, I got to be a bit cocky about that. But he's been a force. So, yeah, I have a price. I would like to get around the first and maybe a forward replacement, depending on conversations. Maybe things can be moved around and such. But right now, Sherwood, he's like not on the top of my list for guys I need to trade. So I've been pretty quiet
Well,
when it came to
who
shopping him.
is on the top? Who is a player that you can tell me and Maxim right now will not be on the team at the start of the season, or can you not make that promise?
If I was to say someone, probably 2 people, Gensel and Projek.
Yeah, I was
Hey,
just about to ask you about Trocheck. I was wondering if there's any
hey,
smoke there that you could give us
did
insight into.
they play? Oh my gosh, they did play on the same team. That USA team at the 2026 Olympics. Do y'all remember how that went? Oh, yeah, they won. Also, Maxim, feel free to jump in and ask a question. I know you have your own questions, so if you don't.
You should feel free to shoot yourself. Anyways, sorry, that's unprofessional.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Amateur podcast. Jeff Merrick got fired for worse. You're good. Feel free to jump in with a question, but just back to what I was talking about. How like you have all these pieces and you have these 5 first-round picks in the next 2 drafts. Why are you deciding to retool instead of trying to push into like a Bamberg and Alberta tier of team? In your opinion, have you thought about it as well?
I have given it some thought. I might see how the offseason goes. I mean, it doesn't hurt to keep McKinnon, right, 10, 11 points a game. We'll probably do this for another 3 to 5 seasons. But the main topic was just to get younger, to compete for a longer time, right? Having,
Yep.
especially against Bamberg in the conference finals, losing just in the last day after having an 80-point lead and keeping that lead. It was the depth that really didn't show up for me, the injuries.
Yeah.
So I realized how important depth was. Still, right now, we're not fully where we want to be in terms of depth. With the 5 first-round picks, I do not plan on making all of those at all. I do plan on moving them. I'm not a team. I'm not a GM that values picks in a sense where most of these are going to be later. It's not like it's going to be like a top half of the draft. So
Yeah.
use those while I can get younger. Nathan McKinnon, I'm not in a huge rush to trade him. I talked with a few teams, got some, feedback. It's not something I need to rush, right? At the end of the day, he's the best player in the league. Me rushing this would be a boneheaded decision. So the priority is with players like Gensel and Trocheck. They
so
can
more of
catch
those and
now.
I assume you'd include a Mikhail Granlund in there as well.
Absolutely,
As those more expendable guys. Maxim,
Yeah.
I'm gonna lead you to Maxim's question. So, like you said, those 5 first-round picks, 5 first-round picks obviously are not going to stay, but we can maybe expect you to choose one of them. Maxim does have a good question about your scouting processes. Would you, Maxim, would you mind shooting that question over to him?
Which one are we going with? The last one? Okay, yeah.
I mean,
You're
last
a
one,
you're
up
a
to you.
prospect guy, obviously. I know this pretty well outside of the no-show league because you're in the Flames GC and prospects are talked about quite a bit, obviously, because we're a very knowledgeable fan base.
Yeah, who
Pump my
sucks.
guys up.
And the only thing they have is the draft next year. That's all y'all are playing for.
Hey man, the draft is my Super Bowl anyways. I'm okay with
It's
that.
fair. It's fair
But,
enough. Fair enough. A lot better than a Western
if you
Conference
got
final.
any names you like early coming out of the 2027 class, who and why are you looking at them?
In your pick range, because obviously you'll go cop out with Privilov, Dupont. But is there any are there a few names you already have circled it on your board that are like, okay, if I keep maybe a pick 20 to 30, this guy will be here. We'll get out.
Not necessarily guys that you're saying, oh, we got to get this guy on our team, but guys that you're going to watch throughout the year and you got a little bit of interest in, if you know what I mean.
I mean, it's still very early to tell. I mean,
I agree with that.
Maybe it's kind of hard to tell. I don't like making picks in the later part of the draft because I don't have the patience to wait 3 to 4 years, right?
I think
And
that's
so,
that's shortcutting. It's more like 4 to 5.
all right,
4 to
man,
5.
I guess.
No, I'm Josh.
With my elite scouting, it might be 1 year,
Yeah.
But
Hey, pick off a Ben Kendall and you're up and away.
yeah. But
do you have a? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it would probably be more defensive. Given my defensive core right now, it's not looking the best. It's probably the biggest weak point. Maybe a guy like Brock Cripps, depending on where he lands, where he doesn't seem bad actually. Brock Cripps, I've been kind of watching Prince Albert for a year now because I knew I needed to kind of draft a D-man. And, Daxon Rudolph was playing there. So now that Rudolph, he's gone, I believe, to collegiate
Denver.
route. Yeah. So now Brock Cripps, he'll really be the man in the back end. So I want to see how he does. Other than that, it's like a shot in the dark. Guys move up and down. We had guys last year like Rubric who was supposed to be like a top 5 pick, and it's all the beginning stages.
Ryabkin the year before too. That was a guy I was absolutely in love with.
Oh yeah, you stole him from me.
Hey, maybe he'll still pay off. He looks good.
Yeah.
But how about something on your team's timeline? We've got a little bit of the Craig Conroy Jr. energy where you don't want to make all the picks. You want to, like you said, you don't want to draft with all of them. You want to move some of them out, and assumingly that's going to be to bring young roster talent in. So do you kind of have a timeline of when you want to start looking to get back into high level contention and competing for cups again?
The window is probably 2 years, right? I'm looking at the team right now. The overall age of the core I want to keep is around 22 to 24 years old. So, giving those guys time to really, get good within the system. Got guys like Beniers, who I'm still really high on. Jackson Blake just went insane in playoffs. But it's really all up to guys like leauges and Freck if they can really take that next step. So another 2 years, 3 years.
You have Zane Perrick?
I do.
Oh, I know. That's just eating you alive, Maxim, isn't it?
Zane Perrick? No.
Oh, well, okay. Well, fuck me then.
I had my chance to get up there, bro. I remember that draft.
Maxim, do you have any more questions, or do you want to continue on with your answer? Sorry for interrupting as much as I have today.
You go for it, Ian. I'll get back in there at some point.
This is just going to be a lot more of a league-wide question. Obviously, you're the team with the big fish to catch, but looking at some conversations, at your conversations around the league, apologies, have most of the discussions in these deals been prospects or picks related, or has it been a mix of both? I know you talked about maybe your asking price on a few guys would be a replacement forward and maybe a pick, but if someone came to you with 5 prospects, 6 prospects, 6, 8, 7 prospects that you would deem worthy of a McKinnon, would you do that deal, or are you more focused on the picks and prospects, or just picks alone, or replacement value?
It really depends. Depends on the prospects, right? I don't know if I should say this, but I was approached with a bunch of prospects for McKinnon. It just didn't make sense because at the end of it, looking at my roster pool already, there's not a lot of guys who I feel comfortable dropping, right? And so it's more, especially in a McKinnon deal, It's more I want those young roster replacements, maybe with a few picks on the side for future trading ammo. But
Yeah.
now the trades are more focused on fixing up that defense, getting the depth a bit better.
So ideally, a McKinnon trade would reinforce maybe the mild end of your prospect pool. Because I mean, how deep would you consider your prospect pool to be? And Maxim, this is a good question for you as an unbiased viewer. How deep do you think BFG's prospect pool is?
Well, I'll let him answer, but I think his pool's incredible.
So it would probably be some middle tier for your pool, high tier for most, and then some picks. So then hopefully in 2 to 3 years when you're trying to etch in peak contention, you have these guys replacing some of the more aging guys you can also sell for more. That's the vibe I'm getting here.
Yeah, I mean, I might be thinking a bit high, but I personally think I have a top 10 pool in the league. I think
it's better than mine if that helps you sleep.
I just drafted 5 first-round guys.
I
Added
don't see
already
how you
on.
couldn't. It's got to be
Sorry?
safely top
Okay.
10. It's got to, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And especially I still have guys like Bradley Nadeau, Kashawn Aitchison, Iserman, who I just added. There's a few guys who should be able to knock me in the top 10 of that. But there are a few guys, obviously, I could upgrade on them. Like you said, replacing those lower to mild level prospects. But yeah, the main goal with the McKinnon deal is to mainly bolster maybe the defense. If I can get a few really good studs.
Have you already don't put it out there, or unless you want to, but do you have a little bit of a short list of guys that would get things humming along in a McKinnon deal if it was put on the table to you?
Yeah, I have a list of 3 to 4 guys. It's nothing's actually came to
Fruition,
life,
but
but yeah,
it's in the back of your mind for sure.
yeah,
Now, speaking of drafts and trades, one of the funnier instances, I think it was addressed in the first half of this episode, maybe at the end of the first episode. Your trade with Cordell that I believe got you Viggo Bjork, the 8th
yes.
pick. Yes. That has been a little bit of I'm gonna let Maxim's words. I think they're out there. They'll be out there very soon if they're not already out there about the trade, calling him the no-show Steve Staios. But we haven't
Oh,
really
that's
talked
out
about your
there.
perspective. Yeah, okay. I don't know because you had your little tangent there. Didn't know. Now I'm gonna talk from your perspective. Were you already in talks with Cordell before Viggo Bjork quote unquote fell to 8th, or was this something okay? He doesn't really like Viggo as much as we thought he did because Viggo went to Winnipeg, which was the reported reason why Cordell traded the pick. Because if you remember correctly, Viggo was his PFP on Discord. So did you come to Cordell day of the draft, or was this more this was kind of talks, and then you saw Viggo and it was decided it was time to dangle some assets and pounds?
We talked leading up to the draft, and we had the framework of a deal ready, and it was more if Vigo dropped actually, then he would do it. I believe it was kind of weird. I didn't expect him to actually make the trade because I knew Vigo was his guy. He told me Vigo was his guy, but when he did fall, I went back to the framework of the deal, and I said, "This is my offer." He countered, and I was like, "Okay, this is what I'll do." And he took the trade, and it just worked out. I got my guy at pick 7, and yeah,
I
I also
know
got
Vigo.
third back.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I'm finished. You can go ahead.
I know Vigo was his guy for sure, but I also do remember on draft night when his name got called by the Winnipeg Jets, I got a pretty heartfelt message. Yeah, he was not very happy with that when that happened on draft night. So I think that's kind of when he decided to let him go, let someone else have him. He's really not a fan of Winnipeg's system, but yeah, no, I think you did really well in that deal. I'm going to gas you up a little bit, especially to your face while you're in here. I think that was very tidy work.
Yeah, we might need you as a recurring guest just in case. Talk prospects. It's been a great talk so far. Now,
Yeah,
this is going to be
anytime.
another one of those more league-wide questions. Is there have you been here? Have you heard something that's piqued your interest? Have you been in the loop about something that's piqued your interest? Are you looking at a certain team and a certain might not even have anything to do with you. Are you looking at a certain team with a certain asset or a certain pick that might be on the move or might be a hot commodity? Have you heard? Are you looking? Any of that?
Well, not to, put the team on like widespread, but there is one player who I have already talked to the general manager about, and hopefully something can happen there. It would bolster my decor. That's all I'm gonna say. But I do have the frameworks of a deal already there, and if it does happen, it would be something I would be very happy with in terms of getting that young D man.
Yeah,
And this
for
is a
sure. They're a hot commodity in this league.
yeah. This is a personal question. Is there do you have a favorite GM to deal with? Like one that you can kind of, and also to the counter point, GM that's like a little bit of a son of a bitch. Don't fact check if I spelled that correctly. Do you have your favorite GMs who, if you think you can get something done, you'd come to them, and vice versa? Or on the opposite side, is there a GM who you wouldn't touch with the 10-foot pole?
Oh, absolutely, there are. Now
You
I
don't have to name
understand
them. You don't
why.
have to name them. You
Yeah,
don't have to name them.
now I
You're
understand
allowed to
why.
say Don Barone. It's okay. We're all thinking it.
Yeah,
Now I
we are
understand.
gonna touch on that
Yeah,
Uyghur deal. Yeah, but continue on with your point.
now I
Sorry.
understand why. Even in the actual NHL, a lot of teams just call with the same GMs will talk to the same GMs whether they move teams or not. Now I understand why, the familiarity, and it's easy to work with. There's two guys who are like really easy to work with all the time. If we say we're gonna get something done, it's gonna happen. But there are teams they'll ask you what you're looking for, you'll answer, and then they'll go
Dumbledore.
blank. They'll go blank. Zach. But oh
No, dude,
man,
actually, I'm going to back you up on that. He does that all the time. I will get a DM on any random Tuesday about a player that I've never shopped. And I will tell him what I want for this player because I got a price on everybody. Really, unless it's a Montreal Canadian, I'll move that player. Or if it's somebody I really like. But even then, everyone's got a price. So I'll listen on anybody. And I'll tell him what I want, and I'll just never, it's like, bro, Bravo 6 going dark. Never hear from him again.
yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, Zach. I like you, buddy.
Do you have any other? Because I have a few lollygag questions. I just might shoot towards you right now, just really quickly. If you're down for that, or Maxim, do you have anything you want to say, or do you have anything you want to get off your chest? Have you heard about a player potentially being out there that isn't, or vice versa? Is there a player that isn't similar to Riley and leauges, which, I think this podcast is going to have to take credit for a deal getting done, like the Pope blessing a baby. But is there any vice versa? Is there a player out there that's not really out there? Is a player that isn't really out there that actually is out there on your team that you would like the rest of the league to know about?
I mean, not really actually. Like, unless someone wants to come take Bouchard and pay like triple his price, it's not really gonna happen. All the guys that I have on my block are the guys that I'll move. I'm pretty happy with the state of my team already. I mean, Forster maybe, probably not.
There's quite the manifestation of Philly fans, so I'd be very careful putting his name out there. Your inbox
Oh
might be
yeah. Oh,
flooded like the world. Just a few one lollygag question, maybe another if I think of it. You've talked a lot about your certain types of players. If you had a card that would give you any player in the league, could be a draftee, could be someone else, who would that player be? If a
Ooh.
dream player to add to your lineup to help you with
ooh,
this potential retool that you're going through.
Is this
What would
like
be
a
like?
who you would
ooh.
start a franchise with?
You
Question?
talk. Well, it's not really who he start a franchise with. It's more like he's talked a lot about adding a young defenseman. So would you take would you bypass that to get like a Celebrini? Sorry, Grant. I don't know. You're not going to trade Celebrini like the other GM that traded him. Or would you go with like a Matthew Schaefer because he fits that young defenseman role? Or hell, would you go balls to the wall and pick Dupont?
Bro, maybe he'd even take Miro Heiskanen.
Oh God, bro, Miro the hero.
You
By the
know
way,
what?
Bamberg loved me. That got irked me. But continue on with your point.
Honestly, it would probably be a Matthew Schaefer. He's still 18, 19 already. What, half a point per game or even more, actually, I believe. Yeah, 60 points already. And, he's still 18, 19, still has so much time to develop that physical game. The guy looks like he's going to be a stud for a while.
Yeah, unfortunately,
it's the future of Canada's blue line right there.
Unfortunate. I was just about to say that. Unfortunately, I'm so glad the U.S. won in 2026 because
yeah. Enjoy the one you get. You're not getting another.
The outlook of the outlook, and I understand the Cohen brothers.
Dude, genuinely, screw
the
Doug
outlook
Armstrong. I cannot wait to have a competent defense in international best on best. None of this 36-year-old Drew Doughty, Colton
you need
Parayko
defenders
having a
who can
CC
defend.
moment. Yeah, we got a lot of young defenders that can defend that didn't break an ankle a year ago and are old as dirt.
God, oh my gosh, I saw Harley out there and it was free cakes. Okay, I think we've hit every base that we'd like to. Once again, is there anything you want
Let
out
me
there?
circle
Go
back
ahead,
to the
Maxim.
McKinnon deal a little bit here. So obviously you're taking your team through a retool. That's been established a little bit. You like you said, your timeline is 2 years. When this whole league was kind of kicking off, I know that was a very hectic first off season before the league started, and the team kind of just came together, right? You won your deals. Eventually, it ended up getting you 2 championships. But is there kind of an identity now that you can really put your mark on the squad that you're building from the ground up? Is there like really a specific identity or type of squad that you want to build, or are you just trying to get the best players you can?
Whatever helps me win a championship, I'll be in the talks for it. It's
okay. So you're Golden Knights,
yeah,
Maxi.
exactly.
That's fair
No
enough.
no loyalty, absolutely not. Whatever will get me into the window I want with the best players, keeping age in mind, I'll go for it.
So we're not
Now,
doing a little Bamberg Team Germany here. We're just going for the chip.
Yeah, we're going for the chip. I mean, Bamberg's been
Fair enough.
amazing. I mean, that team
now,
is
just one
unreal.
question, and I think Maxim would probably be better to serve, but I've heard this through Maxim. Were you the GM who was subject of JD Gate when he changed the scores?
Yeah, I was.
How did it feel getting your posthumous championship? Like how many months later was it?
Like 2 or 3 months afterwards.
Yeah, it was in like the middle of the off season.
It was not the best. I thought I won it, and I started posting all these gifs in the
I was
server.
just about to say
I've
this.
heard about his little Reddit mod reversal.
Oh man!
I would be fuming.
And then I was
Hey,
like,
you know what
and
they
then I
say? What
saw the
goes around
score.
comes around.
Yeah,
What goes
I
around
mean,
comes around.
winning the
Well,
following
I
year,
remember because
it
like
helped.
we had this little duo thing going on where I was like completely in your corner cheering for that squad, and you were celebrating, and then I congratulated you, and you posted all these gifs. I don't even remember what channel it was. Whatever, it doesn't matter. And then like 10 minutes later, he came in and posted this. Oh,
I'm
looks like
actually
I won this time. Maybe you'll get me next time. Congratulations on your season. And we were all just stunned. Like I remember, yeah, that
Yeah,
didn't sit well with me for quite a while afterwards, and then obviously there was something a little bit funky there, but
yeah. Got to give credit to you, especially you counted that score manually, and
I
that
did,
that
I
was
did.
some
I know there was a couple others, I don't know who they were, but I know there were 3 of
Bamberg,
us.
I believe. I believe
Yeah, I have
Bamberg
no idea.
also. Yeah, but that was something. Getting your moment taken from you, but winning the following year, it kind of patched it.
Especially
So,
because the next year we had like there was so much less drama in the league, and it
oh,
kind of matured
absolutely.
pretty quickly over that next year. Like, to be honest, first year no show, well, this was straight slop.
it was the
Yeah,
show to watch.
yeah, it was.
Dude, this
That
was like a
Turnover
that
soap
show was
after.
opera of a
intense.
fantasy league.
It was like
Okay.
every Twitter troll in one league.
Oof.
We literally had the Twitter trolls too. I remember we had Cass in here. He's now like he's top tier hockey or something, and he just posts Oiler slop. Anyways, not
No
important.
way. No way. That guy's hilarious. I love his anti-Kale McCarr gimmick. It's the only thing I support
Oh
from that
yeah, of
page.
course you love his anti Kale McCarr gimmick.
Yeah, fortunate
You
round
know
for the
what? He's
puck,
got
bro.
1 point. Bouchard should be on Team Canada. I'll die
Oh,
on that hill.
no, he shouldn't. He really shouldn't. We really shouldn't allow that.
Oh yeah. Why? I wonder
Hmm?
why the Americans saying that.
You know damn well why I'm saying the American is saying Evan
Point
Bouchard
bomb,
shouldn't be on
bro.
Team Canada.
Hellebuck never would have had a chance. McKinnon empty net. Nah, dude. Bouchard bomb from the point.
Yeah, then he
Yeah.
would have had to play defense, and don't know how that would have went.
Hey, his defense gets too much hate. I say this as a Flames fan.
It does. Okay, so I think that's gonna put a bow in it. We're very thankful for you to be on our show. Very thankful for you to give us a chance. Any final word out there? You know, a kiss goodbye, what do they call it? An encore for Isaac on what I hope is not his first and only visit onto this show. This was a great talk. Talked about a lot of cool things, and you made 30 minutes feel like 15. So that's how you know you're having a good conversation.
I had a great time on this podcast. Hopefully, it's something that is reoccurring. You know, it adds life to the league. You know, so
It's for sure
I mean,
something I want to keep doing. I have a lot of fun with it.
yeah, it's amazing. I will say this: that Luke Hughes trade, that's because of you guys.
I know we're like the Pope blessing it.
Yeah, I heard that on your podcast, Luke Hughes was being shocked. Straight to the DMs, got it done.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I hope this gets some form of traction going for you. And also, by the way, congratulations on spanking Dom in the Uyghur deal. Even though Dom tried to rebuild through the aggregate, I think you got great value for Mackenzie Uyghur.
Really, I thought that I kind of didn't get enough.
I just think in terms of like a timetable, and obviously it would depend on the GM, but I think with your organizational approach and what you've already said you might dangle the firsts for, whether it's a prospect or maybe it's something that gets you towards another piece, and Uyghur's age and the outlook there, I think it's about the best you can make out of a somewhat good situation. So
Yeah, let's go.
that's just my take on it.
Let's go.
I don't have the stamp of we'll see, but my stamp of approval really means nothing. But I think that's going to do it. That second episode. I'm hoping, no offense to you, Isaac, I'm hoping that the third episode is stuff of legends. If not, it will probably be another rumors than guest centric episode. But other than that,
Well, hey, a little bit better every time. That's the goal.
1% better. Other than that, that's going to do it. Thank you for listening to this episode of 30 Teams, 30 Thoughts, the podcast. As always, I'm your host, Ian. Across the desk, 1,700 miles away, is Maxim. And for the first, and hopefully not the last time, Mr. Isaac, Mr. BFG. And
Big Flames Oracle.
Keep hustling,
Thanks.
and thank you for listening.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Arrivederci.